Okay. Is it? Okay. Okay. I don't know where's playing this one. I don't use it. Okay, so comrades, welcome once again. So this will be our second to last class. We have a class next week. And we just have a little bit of material in there. And as I said last week, I think I'm going to wrap a film around that piece of material. I won't say what it is right now, but I'm going to wrap something around it. And I can talk more about it before I show it, because it's quite powerful, I believe. However, thinking of power, right? And this section on power to the people, I'm hoping we've had a chance to take a look at them in the tutorials, but at the same time, I also know that the tutorials, this is a time where we, we take in the material as well, but we also take into account, the way in which it sits with us in terms of our lives, right, and everything we do. So that's our love between ourselves in the tutorials, with our comrades here, right, and every one of us and each other, right. And so you've heard me talk about then, and you'll see that in the material, right. We see that in terms of organizing and communicating with the people, right. Black Panther newsletter, for example, right. Elaine Brown talking about intercommunalism, right. Huey's theoretical framework, right. Put into practice, right. Everything that we do and everything the Panthers did and everything revolutionary organizations did, right. Going back 50 plus years, right. So we claim that, right. We claim that those histories of struggle, right. So I talked about, reference to comrades. And we speak to each other, right? And we communicate with each other along those lines. And we talked about how language then has meanings, right? Language sort of has meanings in terms of conceptual ways of thinking about the world, right? New possibilities, new ways of being, new ways of knowing, right? And comrades, as we know, is one of that part of that language of revolution, right? Where we understand each other and relate to each other, not as individuals, but as collectives, right? In struggle, right? Involved in political struggle, right? And you've seen those little clips, right, of our grade 5 and 6 comrades, right, at Nelson Mandela Park School, right, where our folks fully understand that concept, comrades, they fully understand the politics of it, right, and the power of it, right, where we no longer scramble over each other for a few bit of crumbs, or no longer try to form our identities by putting each other down using colonial ways of knowing and doing. Now we're a collective, we're a family, right? And we defend each other along those lines. You defend me and I defend you, right? And it's a part of our lives, right? It lives with us and sits with us, right? And then we think about how that then impacts, right, those who go after us, right? Those folks who can become revolutionaries in the future, right? So that's what this section then is about. And my comrades are here, right? I have my comrades here, right? Not sort of friends or allies, right? But comrades who will stand by me, right? And defend me as I will defend them and defend, and they will defend me as collectives, not as individuals, right? And there's love in that, right? Real revolutionary, snotty, bloody, messy love, right? Involved in that, right? So again, we don't want to talk about this as a theoretical fucking exercise or something maybe you'll get a good grade at, right? It's a part of our lives, right? Part of where we want to go, as Fred said, right? In the future, where we want to end up, So enough for me, right? I will say, and so therefore it is such a blessing, right? You know, for me to have, you know, and to have these, for us to have these comrades here, right? In this moment, right? In this time, because it will never be the same again, right? Nothing, we cannot repeat this again, right? This is now, and this is new, and this is revolutionary, right? So I want to say, first of all, a big hand for our folks here. Chris, Kevin, Isaiah, Nicole, right? Comrades, right? Who will talk about life, work, and community, right? And as we've talked about before, all of it is wound up and bound up, right? In the same way, right? Entangled with each other, community, life, work, right? So we go back to Lilla Watson's piece about, you know, if you come to help me, then you're wasting your time. But if your liberation is tied up with mine, then let's work together, right? That's comrade, that's life and living, right? Right? So I'm going to ask my comrades now to talk about their lives, right? Inextricably interconnected with their work inextricably interconnected, right? With their lives. And all of that inextricably interconnected with community and collectivity, right? And the defense of that, right? And the struggle for that, right? And a struggle for becoming new peoples, right? So, shut up now, stand, and I will introduce